We see the porn industry run by Jews. We see Hollywood run by Jews. We see the music industry run by Jews. They did away with things like the Hays Code, moral codes that meant that the entertainment packages were good and right ordered, and it's all perverted. It's subverting our culture. It's an inversion of morality. He's right in that women need to know their place, and that me saying that is going to cause a lot of heat, but we all have our roles. Men need to know their place too. We should be leading. We shouldn't be gay and effeminate and sitting back and letting the women lead, because when the women lead, what do they lead in? Voting for their human right, their health care of basically the right to kill their own offspring is what feminism has brought us. And blacks should be in prison for the most part. When he says that, he's clearly talking about the demographic information. The facts are that black people are committing most of the violent crimes, and therefore something needs to be done about that. That needs to be addressed. It's not racism pointed out.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fox and Father, a belated episode of Fox and Father with me, the Fox, and him, the
Father.
There's been some argument as to whose fault it is. I'm just saying.
There's no argument.
Well, I seem to remember it's your fault, and you're blaming me.
It was absolutely my fault 2 weeks ago.
And it was my fault last week.
Right.
Well, it's obviously been a long time because your hair has grown completely. Are you going fro again?
It's coming back for a little bit. I'm growing it for the winter. It is freezing here in Michigan. I had to put my wellies on to get from the rectory to the church this morning. It's snowy. I don't think the snow is going anywhere between now and Christmas.
So how many years have you been in America now?
Just over one. This is my second
When did you leave?
September.
Yeah, so you left
24.
September 24, and this is that's been your whole first year in America that has been this year. Yeah. And what are your thoughts? Are you loving?
What a year it's been.
It has been insane.
It has been a crazy year. We should probably do like a rundown next week or the week after of all the stuff that happened in the year. But no, I love it here. It's fantastic. I'm so blessed to be here right now.
Well, I'm sorry to our viewers that we were a bit disorganised. We've had a bit going on this end as well.
You've always got a bit going on, Laurence. What's going on now? By the way, I like the fireplace. It's beautiful.
Thank you. That is a little, relatively humble little fireplace, but my Lord, does that throw out some heat. And it's... for me, and probably for millions of others across the UK, central heating is very drying, and that stuff, it's just a different heat. Yeah. And look, I'm going to give you a little tour of the very dirty room. Christmas tree, pianos, guitars. I'm very grateful to Amazon.
That room is great in the summer, I remember that, but I imagine it's quite cold in there in the winter with all the windows.
Not with the fire on it, it's not. So that's good. Anyway, how are you doing?
Yeah, good.
1 year in. Are you going to grow this? Are you growing the fro out, or what's
growing the fro out for the winter? Keep me a bit warm. I shaved the beard off because my hair is too curly. It looks scruffy. I'll keep.
Or did you shave the beard off because you're becoming a Nick Fuentes fan?
What does that have to do with the beard?
I don't know. It's just like tidy beards and stuff. Oh. It just seems like Nick Fuentes.
I think tidy beards are good. Like a minimal of grooming is good. Too much grooming is gay.
Too much grooming is gay. It's your fault that we might as well start with this. It's let's not start with this because there's a few things I want to talk about.
Oh gosh!
But have we spoken about David Lammy, Diversity Dave?
I definitely spoke about him a couple of weeks ago, but I don't know if I spoke about him with you. But I do remember...
Did you speak about him with Dan?
I quoted the Magna Carta. I said, no free man shall be seized or imprisoned or stripped of his rights or possessions or outlawed or exiled or deprived of his standing in any way, nor will we proceed with force against him or send others to do so, except by the lawful judgment of his peers or by the law of the land. Magna Carta.
1215 was that, or later?
Can't remember the year. I'll be a treat.
the weird thing about the Magna Carta is
1250.
people
Well done.
quote was it? People quote that at me relentlessly, and I'm like, yeah, but it hasn't done us any good, has it?
No, because people don't stick.
Why would so? Without wishing to go overly into, because I can't, my court staff, it's like, oh, we've got a backlog of 80,000 cases, which is going to escalate to 100,000 cases. Why am I in court? That's what I want to know. Why are we spending that time? If you want to solve the rapes diversity, Dave, and your communist excuse for ruining the ancient right of the trial by a jury of lay peers, so they're not even experts. They have to be instructed, don't they? They have to explain to people how to do it. It's why you get objections and sustaining and stuff like that. It's, well, not so much in the UK, but you do get this stuff, is that you are being tried by people who don't have to be smart, they don't have to be experts in law, they just have to be able to understand what it is this person is being tried for. Why would Diversity Dave Lammy try and get rid of those, do you think?
Well, because that means that the state can put pressure on the judiciary to get their own way. And we've seen this. Sir Keir Starmer said that the people on the far right were going to get, punished far more severely than anyone else. He's clearly got a political vendetta against this imaginary far right. But what that's resulted in is, whilst rapists and physical abusers are getting let out on earlier release, earlier than they ever have before, people who tweet or post on Facebook the incorrect thing, something that's politically incorrect, who are being deemed as far right, are getting locked up. They're getting rushed through the court system when rapists can't even get into court. It's insane.
I think it's time, following the Nick Fuentes interview, which we'll come on to, I think it's time the far right started calling themselves and accepting the moniker, accepting it, saying, you're right, you know what, mate, I am far right. If far right means I don't agree with the child sexual exploitation and in many cases depraved animalistic rape and murder of white English girls. If that makes me a far right person, then good. Yes, I'm actually happy. I'd like a T-shirt saying how thrilled I am with it. And if being far right is to turn around and say that, slavery and reparations that Diane Abbott and various people are calling for is it's ridiculous to ask for reparations from the living for the crimes of the dead. I was doing my son's homework this week with him about the Treaty of Versailles and how it took place and all that sort of stuff. And Britain,
the world.
And Britain advocated through David Lloyd George, as far as I can remember myself from studying history and from catching up while he does it. Britain advocated for a moderate position when it came to reparations for Germany. That's what it did. The French, the Frenchies, the French, well, yeah, their land was occupied for the first time. Didn't learn, did they? The French advocated for a very hard position on Germany. And they came out, I think, with the equivalent of, in that time, about $30-odd billion.
Well, the Brits and the Americans had more of a sense of honor, as though we understood that we won this war, therefore we don't have to crush them in defeat. We should be magnanimous in victory. And if we had have been, there wouldn't have been a World War II.
Yeah. So this idea of reparations, and it's all dragging us towards this Nick Fuentes conversation, which I want to have. This idea of reparations is so abhorrent to me because I just go, well, hang on, we've got an immediate wrong here that one can deal with, which is the systemic sexual abuse and rape by Pakistani Muslim and now Afghanis, because they're joining in too, because let's face it, they ain't sending their best, as Donald Trump used to say and continues to say. Where are our reparations? Right. Putting aside for a minute the fact that slavery exists all over the world today and the primary slave traders in themselves were Black African people and, followers of the religion of peace, full non-slavery, as we all know. So putting aside all that for a second, should Britain, do you think, here's my question. God, it took me a while to get there in the end. Should Britain demand reparations from the Pakistani immigrant community for the rape of our young women?
No, we should just deport and repatriate every single Pakistani Muslim in the United Kingdom and say we're never having any more Pakistani Muslims in the United Kingdom.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't want any reparations, you just want deportations.
Yeah.
Okay. How's that practically done?
You just send them back.
What, they have a British passport?
Great big charter planes, round them all up, get a police force like ICE to track them down, round them up, get them on the plane and send them back.
But there's no political will for that. I mean, there's huge public
amongst
will
the chattering classes, no.
Well, I think even the chattering classes, I had a long conversation. Can I say about this? No. Anyway, yeah, it's very difficult to make that point. Don't admit to who I was speaking to about it. But the chattering classes are actually very much in favour of the deportation and remigration of people. But there's no political party that will do it. So
there is, but there are all the smaller parties. Reform, Advance, UKIP. What's the new one? The one that just launched? So Advance is Ben Habib's. What's Rupert Lowe's party called?
He doesn't have a party. It's called Restore. Oh, what is he? Sorry, yeah. I missed it. Well, I mean, really?
Yeah.
They started a political party. Rupert Lowe has.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was called Restore. It's a political movement. Unless I'm, not been paying attention to political Twitter enough.
Great Yarmouth First? What?
That sounds like a great name for a political party, to be fair. Great Yarmouth
So his political movement is Restore Britain, but he's launched a local political party called Great Yarmouth First. I can't keep up with all this stuff, honestly.
Yeah, so he's not joined in with Ben Habib. So what I'm saying is there's no mainstream political movement other than our friend Kemi, who is going to be able to mainstream this stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't see anyone else. Do you?
If she does it, great.
You're being really helpful to me here, Calvin. Thank you.
Well, I haven't seen it so far, so if it starts to happen, that'd be wonderful.
No, I'm not saying it, but it's about the driver of public mood. So there is appetite on the ground for remigration and repatriation and, massive, but there is appetite for that.
Yeah.
Zia Yusuf comes out and says, this is appalling. We need to do it. And I'm like, but you threw Rupert Lowe out of your party for saying the same thing. And then you tried to destroy his life.
Right.
So what I'm saying is there's no political party that will engage with the most critical issue that faces the United Kingdom. Not one. We're opening up the paper every single day to Afghan asylum seekers raping British girls. Rupert Lowe may have started the Great Yarmouth Party or whatever it's called, and Ben Habib may have started Advance UK and all this sort of stuff. But the only party that's going to make a difference is Reform, Conservatives, or Labour. Labour you can leave out the window. Zach Polanski's Green Party, who they want more immigrants because they don't want to wipe their own asses. They would like the immigrants to do it for them. Funny, isn't it, that the leftists are racists? Who would have thought? Is there a historical precedent for the left being massively racist in the country you live in?
Well, the link between the Democrats and the KKK is a good example. But you're right. I mean, there is no political will and there's no political solution to a cultural problem. We've got to remember that politics is downstream of culture and culture is downstream of faith. And it always comes back to, if we want England to be saved, people have to return to church, which actually is a good segue to the second story, in that people are starting to return to church and the church doesn't like it. This is fascinating. So the Unite the Kingdom rally that you and I helped organize has now evolved into a Put Christ Back into Christmas campaign. Tommy Robinson is obviously involved in that. And the Church of England is flapping and saying, well, there's an article in The Guardian this week, Church of England to challenge Tommy Robinson put Christ back into Christmas message. They want to challenge the message. They want to challenge the idea that the Tommy Robinson lot, the rowdy yobs, are going to turn up in their nice, pleasant churches while they're having tea and cake. It's despicable to them.
At what point? So let's first and foremost deal with Sarah Mullally and her arrogance. The idea that she thinks anybody cares at all what that corrupt organisation thinks about anything. And I think that you'd find that most actual Christians, not the ones that sort of virtue signal their way to church, or the ones that speak about Christian values, or, wear trans robes of, whatever. Those people are not the majority of people. There are huge numbers of Christians in this country who are raised as Christians generation after generation after generation, who would take Tommy Robinson's word well ahead of Sarah Mullally's on anything. I mean, if you made Tommy Robinson Archbishop of Canterbury, that would be the best thing you could do for the Church of England ever.
Well, that'd be ludicrous, because
I know it's ludicrous, but I'm just saying.
He doesn't know the faith yet, but it's not even about him. It's about the people who turn up at these rallies. Like, some of them turn up for Tommy, sure, but a lot of them turn up because they're patriots who feel disenfranchised and feel like the establishment, which includes the Church of England hierarchy, are not just ignoring and neglecting them, but are actively against them. And so the Church of England here is proving their point by suggesting the idea that, Christian nationalism is a bad thing, and Christian symbols are being co-opted by the far right, and they're using Christ's name, they're using the cross, they're using all these things. Like, these people are trying to find the truth. They're seeking Jesus. The job of the church is to lead them to him, not just turn them away and say, you're not quite the right folk, or you're not doing it in the right way. It's to say, come on in and we'll show you how. We'll lead you. That's the job of shepherds. But they don't want to be shepherds. They are petrified of having to be shepherds, because they want to sit there in their cozy tea clubs and be gay and effeminate and just look down on everyone else and think they are saved. And that's not how Christianity works.
Does that not sort of bring back to the point that there's no way out? It's like, I almost feel like we live in and I know this is a little bit of a segue, but it's faith related. We live in a world where we're asked to accept that, I tweeted it this week with some independent Islamist who happens to have a place in the UK Parliament because we imported his voters. He said, you don't have to be you can only be a good person if you're a Muslim, or, you to be a Muslim, you have to be a good person, or something like this. Just went on and on and on about this thing. And it went very viral. Right. This post that I sent. I'm just going to quickly find it. You don't have to be a good Muslim to be a good human being, but you must be a good human being to be a good Muslim. So I just reposted it with a picture of and he was an English guy, apparently, Jihadi John. Apparently he's English too. I just posted a picture of him just before he took Daniel Pearl. Well, not Daniel Pearl. Who was it? Whose life he took? Anyway, I should know because it's awful. But I'm coming. Someone said to me, and I wish I could. I don't want to say who it was, but we were talking about the dominion of the devil on this earth, and the person I was talking to said to me, I said, you can't expect fairness and all of that sort of stuff in British justice. We were talking about Joey Barton stuff yesterday, right? Because the devil has dominion over the earth, and I said, well, no, because that's not true. And they went, yeah, look at Islam. Islam is the devil's work in action. And I was like, it was quite a hardcore statement, but I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I thought, if you want to see something worse than people say, how long, I think this is the question I was getting to, how long are we going to have to put up with the whole, Islam is a religion of peace while blowing people up thing? How long does that charade go on for before we just go, you know what, guys, please do one?
I think we're done with that. I think seeing all the Christmas markets closing or not opening up this year because security reasons or financial reasons, because they can't afford enough security, they can't afford the diversity pollards, as you call them, to prevent wild Mohammedans driving their cars into herds of Christians. I think we've reached the point where people have realized that Islam is evil and people have had enough of it. Now the response has to happen. In our country, at least, we have to have a government that is willing to address it. Over here in America, people are slowly waking up to the fact that Islam is evil because it's not as prevalent out here. There's far more land, there's far more people, far fewer Islamists or Mohammedans. But they're looking at what's happening in Britain and Europe, Western Europe, and seeing how quickly those countries are falling, and that's waking people up here. But in back home, we need politicians to take the reins. Unfortunately, we don't have many strong politicians.
How far is Dearborn from you?
About 2 hours.
Right, so Dearborn is where the Somali enclave began. Is that correct?
Dearborn is the Arabs. Minnesota is
Dearborn's
Somali.
Arab.
Yeah.
Minnesota's the Somali. Sorry for getting that wrong. But Trump is straight onto it. Ted Cruz tweeted this morning after the Joey Barton verdict, which I'd like to get onto as well, because I want to shame the hell out of this guy. Joey Barton was, and I'd like to play this actually, Harrison, in the thing. I'm just going to play it now so you can see it.
Given the gravity, persistence and impact of this offending, I have no doubt that neither a fine alone nor a community order can be justified, and that the custody threshold is crossed. There will be concurrent terms of imprisonment for each of these associated offences, the sentences for each reflecting your overall offending and recognising the principle of totality. However, applying the imposition guideline and carrying out the required balancing exercise, I'm satisfied that it's not necessary for those custodial terms to be served immediately. In light of the steps you have taken, I am persuaded that there is some prospect of rehabilitation, that an immediate custodial sentence is not required to protect either the public or the victims, and that a suspended sentence order may itself operate as a deterrent against any future offending by you. For each of these offences, I impose a suspended sentence order of 18 months duration. On counts 2 and 4, the racially aggravated offences, there will be custodial terms of 6 months, and on counts 6, 8, 9 and 10, custodial terms of 4 months, all such terms to run concurrently, and all suspended for a period of 18 months. If during that 18-month period you commit any further offence, whether or not of the same type, you will be brought back before the court, and it is likely that you will be required to serve some or all of that total 6-month period. That, of course, is not an end of the matter. For the next 12 months, you will be subject to a rehabilitation activity requirement of up to 20 days, and you are required to complete 200 hours of unpaid work in the community.
So what you just saw was a man not sentencing a rapist, not sentencing a paedophile, not sentencing a necrophiliac, not sentencing anyone. What you're watching was somebody sentencing Joey Barton for tweeting at Eni Aluko and Jeremy Vine.
This is absolutely astonishing. Joey Barton did nothing wrong. This judge is absolutely wicked. I hate what I just heard. He's trying to protect the public, protect the victims. What public? Protect them from what? What victims? Suspended sentence for each thing. What things? And he's got community service, and he's going to have to be rehabilitated. Basically, they're going to have to re-educate him to be more politically correct and to be more liberal. This is evil. This is absolutely evil.
It's pure evil, and it's what David Lammy wants to bring in. Is this man? And I want everyone to look into this man and look into all judges, and also get in touch with me, because what Bad Law are doing at the moment is we are formulating a list of the worst of the British judges. Okay, his name is Judge Andrew Manary, King's Counsel. Okay, look into some of the cases he's done. Paedophile who shared child abuse images of, I mean, it just makes me so angry. it's just he is a complete. I don't want to. He's a judge, so I don't want to get him wrong. I would like you to look into Judge Andrew Manari, KC, and find out what your justice will look like when David Lammy gets rid of jury trials. The arrogance of this horrible, evil man. I mean, I just think he's evil. He's let people walk out of his courtroom with the most depraved images of children. And then you go back to Hugh Edwards and you're like, Hugh Edwards got 6 months suspended. Joey Barton got 18 months suspended. Hugh Edwards got essentially a third of I mean, it's debatable, but he essentially got a lighter sentence for not knocking one out over pictures of children. It's like Britain couldn't be further from the brink of total civilizational collapse, I don't think, now anymore. It's just, he's an absolutely abhorrent. And if I went up in front of him as a judge, I would say, I don't recognize your authority. I don't. And who gave it to you? King Charles. Who gave you this authority? I don't recognize your authority.
The country is cooked, honestly.
It's cooked, man.
When you can find someone guilty of thought crimes and sentence them to re-education until they fall in line with Newspeak, we have a massive problem. It's a massive problem.
So I've been saying we need a First Amendment, and people have been saying no, we just need to have any law about free speech removed completely.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite a good.
If I got elected as Prime Minister tomorrow, I would repeal everything that Tony Blair did, all of that. Restore hereditary peers, get rid of hate crime, hate thoughts, all the things the Conservative government protected for the last 15 years. Just strip it all out, and the country will be fine.
Mm. But what do you make of this, of the way he is speaking to a man about some tweets?
It's awful. It's shockingly bad.
I mean, I was terrified when I saw that.
Yeah.
Because I'm going into, they want me, these people. They want me done. So I'm going into court and I'm going to have to face one of these little apparatchik establishment stooges who think that I'm sorry and my lawyers would tell me that to not be down on the judiciary.
But the contempt on that judge's face and in his voice, there may be some element of rehabilitation possible. Like what he's saying, you're almost beyond reproach for your nasty
of his fucking brain,
words.
What fucking right do you have to tell him to reproach his brain? Eni Aluko is this is critical race theory in fact. And you sue me for libel, by the way, Eni Aluko. Eni Aluko comes from a middle-class Nigerian family. She's not a rich bird. She's not a poor bird. She comes from a middle-class Nigerian family. Who does critical race theory benefit? It benefits
she
the
is
richest.
A DEI hire. She clearly is a DEI hire.
It benefits the richest black people. That's what it does.
Did you see her interview with Andrew Golds?
No, I don't. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't watch interviews with retards. Sorry, she's a retard. I don't watch interviews with retards. I don't watch people that have been pummeled with crap and who've not managed to pull themselves together into a piece of critical thinking in order to work out, to say, Black people have been oppressed. Black people are oppressed. Black people are oppressed.
You're racist. Don't be racist. This is all racist. Like, if everything's racist, nothing is racist, love. And credit where it's due, because Andrew Golds is a bit of a wet liberal. On this, he managed to stand firm and say, no, this is not racism. Let's address it.
But you see how the critical racism, like some of the memes, some of the stuff is coming out of like that you've got kids. The African kid walking with the water bottles who's had to walk 3 miles to get his water, and there's this American black kid who's got a t-shirt on saying iced tea and a cap, and he's kind of going, the black kid comes up to him and goes, "You're the victim of slavery," and he's like, "You damn right I am." It's like at some point you've got to turn around and go, Eni Aluko is the beneficiary of critical race theory. Nothing she can say is wrong. And Jeremy Vine, the so-called Joey Barton called him a bike nonce. Like, I don't even know what that means. Does it mean that you are sexually inappropriate with bikes?
I think,
like, it's not even a crime. It's so insane.
Jeremy Vine is clearly obsessed with cycling, and he puts these little cyclist videos out and goes on a rant. It's a bit weird, a bit creepy. Joey pointed it out. Fine, whatever. But none of this matters. We're done with it all. This morning, someone called me a racist. This random, what was she, Bangladeshi or something? Gujarati Indian woman says, so now you're a racist who doesn't even respect bloody women and hates people of color, and they wonder why your color is, I think she meant hated. And I just replied, if you like, with a shrug, because that's it. They can call me these names. These names mean nothing anymore.
Well, yeah, we
know that their values are so perverted that actually, if they did like us, we wouldn't be happy. We wouldn't be good people.
So where does this? So let's just slowly bring in this Nick Fuentes thing now, because that's what I really want to talk about.
Okay.
So Nick Fuentes is and he was demonized by everybody, including podcasters. So even the kind of the off media, the alt media, were very rude to Nick Fuentes and said he's a racist, he's terrible, he's awful, he's dreadful, so I sort of didn't pay that much attention to Nick Fuentes. And I haven't really. But I just turned on, because you sent it through, you said, have a look at this interview with Piers Morgan. And I watched it, and I thought Piers Morgan's American news anchor career was ended by Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro ended it by handing him a copy of the Constitution and tying Piers Morgan up in knots about gun laws and stuff like that. And Piers Morgan has learnt nothing. He's gone back to Nick Fuentes, who I don't know enough about. So I can't speak about Nick Fuentes other than to say that he's a highly articulate person who makes some very, very rational and reasonable points. And Piers Morgan argues always from emotion and always from, he never argued. And I just thought, you just got completely owned by a child. I mean, I don't know how old Nick Fuentes is, but he was owned.
So I haven't seen the whole interview yet, but I've seen a few clips which are outstanding. And I don't watch many people's content, so I don't watch a lot of Nick's content. I'm not his target audience, right? His target is disenfranchised young men. I'm not disenfranchised. I'm not a young man. And I, actually, quite a lot of the stuff he says, I think, a bit crude. He could have done a bit better with that. But some of the stuff he says is it's like spot on. But people have painted him as the new, I don't know, the new Hitler or something, like the new, and the whole Hitler thing is falling apart. And that was addressed in this Piers Morgan argument, because I think J.K. Rowling did this very well with her books, and I don't think people really realized what she was doing, but the whole Voldemort thing, like he who shall not be named, they painted this Tom Riddle guy as beyond evil, as something that you couldn't even say his name because it brought fear into people. And actually, at the end of it, you realize he was just a man who went off track, and he could be defeated by a child, right? And that's the same with Hitler. People have painted Hitler now as worse than Satan himself. There are people who would argue that Satan could be redeemable, but Hitler couldn't, right? It's gone that far extreme. It's stupid, is what it is. It's unthinking. And so the post-World War II consensus is that Hitler is the bad guy who cannot be named, and anything bad must be painted as parallel to Hitler or the Nazis. But Nick breaks this down. He's like, actually, I think Hitler was pretty cool. And Piers Morgan's like, wait, what? Because Piers Morgan's entire thing is shaming people. It's getting you on, and he played these clips of Nick and said, "Now explain yourself." As in, Nick would be like, it would be a struggle session, and Nick would backtrack and be like, "Well, what I meant by this was," and Nick just goes, "Yeah, I meant every word of what I said," and that's it. Piers Morgan had no room. There's nothing he could do from that point on. Like, he wanted a gotcha moment, but you can't gotcha someone if they stand by what they said. And we've been saying this the whole time. We've been saying this for years. Stop buckling under pressure from the woke mob. Stop feeding the crocodile because it's going to bite your hand. Stop trying to be the last one standing. Like, just stand for your principles and have some integrity. And so, not everything that Nick, for instance, says might be wise or prudent, but he says it and he stands by it. And if he trolls, he laughs at it. It's like, this was a joke. Like, we can have humor. Piers Morgan's like, but you should never, ever joke about the Holocaust. And Nick's like, why? Too soon? It's like, that was a one-liner, like, straight out there. Of course, it's not too soon. And you can joke about anything. Doesn't mean the joke is necessarily well-received by everyone. Doesn't mean it's necessarily considered funny by anyone. But you can joke about everything. That's the point of humor and comedy. This is something Andrew Doyle's been saying for years. But I think there's been a paradigm shift, right? From J.D. Vance, the vice president of the United States, saying, I don't really care, Margaret. To Nick Fuentes saying, yeah, everything I said is true. It's like that shift means that everyone else can now go, yeah, and rather than, oh, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to offend anyone. And what I meant by that was this, please like me, please like me.
Yeah, I think that it has to go further, sadly. What I thought Nick Fuentes did with Piers Morgan was brilliant. He's clever, so he knows what Piers Morgan's trying to do, and he demeaned Piers Morgan and belittled Piers Morgan with his mind, actually. So Piers Morgan at one point in the interview said, well, I have two very empathetic sons who, can still, denounce Hitler, but also be worried about immigration. Nick Fuentes says they sound gay.
Well, it's like when Piers Morgan goes, let me get my Jewish friend on to tell you how you're wrong. Like, we're past all that.
Danny Finkelstein Danny Finkelstein couldn't be more establishment if he tried. And it's like, yes, I'm really sorry that your Jewish relative died, but you're playing the same game as critical race theorists.
But he is, and he's proving Nick's point when Nick says that you just wheel out this victimhood narrative that means you can never criticize Judaism or Israel because every time you do, you're performing a Holocaust on them. And Piers goes, well, let me see what my Jewish friend says. And my Jewish friend goes, oh, I'm a victim. My whole family are victims. You can't say anything bad about us because we're victims. It's like you're proving the point.
See, what will happen is the sort of properly base black-pilled people will now start saying, oh, okay, well, now you're willing to talk about the Jews. And I'm like, we've always been okay to talk about the Jews. I have to confess,
The first time I mentioned Judaism on this podcast, you get a phone call and you have to call me up and someone's saying, Calvin's talking about it. And you get all these text messages.
Who called me?
Bringing up the Jews.
Hang on, who called me? Oh, yeah, I did a lot. I remember that. Because it is, you're not allowed to, it's a done thing. I think it is worth remembering that the smallest community of people on earth were massacred. I think that's worth remembering and honouring. But I also agree with Nick Fuentes.
I think it's overblown. I think
hang on.
Jews were killed, 6 million Jews were killed. It's horrible when anyone's killed. 6 million Poles were killed. Who's going on about the 6 million Poles that were killed? Nobody. No one gives a damn about the 6 million Poles. Why? Because the Jews have been playing the victim card much better. It is critical race theory 101. It's the exact same thing. You can't question us. You can't criticize us. And if you do, you're evil because we were Holocausted. You're performing a Holocaust against us by criticizing us. That's wicked. It's twisted.
Yeah, he flipped it on Piers as well to say that when he brought up the cases in America of saying, I don't want to be on a train with someone who's going to stab me in the neck just because I'm white.
Well, let's play a few clips. I've got 3 clips lined up. This is the first clip where he's just like, the paradigm has shifted.
Okay.
Jews, women, and blacks. Let's just take a listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
The power of that, yes. I mean, he's crude and he should cut down his swearing and he probably could articulate the argument better, but he's right. He's absolutely spot on. And there are too many perverted Jews running society. We see the porn industry run by Jews. We see Hollywood run by Jews. We see the music industry run by Jews. They did away with things like the Hays Code, moral codes that meant that the entertainment packages were good and right ordered. And it's all perverted. It's subverting our culture. It's an inversion of morality. He's right in that women need to know their place. And that me saying that is going to cause a lot of heat. But we all have our roles. Men need to know their place too. We should be leading. We shouldn't be gay and effeminate and sitting back and letting the women lead. Because when the women lead, what do they lead in? Voting for their human right, their health care of basically the right to kill their own offspring is what feminism has brought us. And blacks should be in prison for the most part. When he says that, he's clearly talking about the demographic information. The facts are that the that black people are committing most of the violent crimes, and therefore something needs to be done about that. That needs to be addressed. It's not racism pointed out.
But the easiest way to address it is to say, stop victimizing people and giving them permission to commit crime.
Right.
Because you end up, critical race theory leads to saying to black people, you have no other option than to, you're a victim. And it's so racist, actually racist, to say that to people.
Right.
To say, you've been oppressed by whitey for so long. And Fuentes then goes on to say that white people are going to be a minority in America. And
they're going to be a minority in Britain first.
Well,
within our lifetime, within 34 years, white people have been a minority.
But and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. There is an inherent thing in every single God-created human being, which is all of them, to turn around and rebel against the generation that came before. And the generation that came before, I had never seen so much disdain from my kids' mates who just cannot bear the poor black people narrative, and they cannot bear the poor transgender narrative. They can't bear it, so they will rebel, and that will happen. And so our grandfatherhood will be peaceful because they will have taken the country back for us. But I'm just in the middle of it all. I'm looking at Piers Morgan and I'm going, why does anyone watch that guy on TV? He's so intellectually inconsistent. He doesn't actually have a single principle that I could.
He has no principles.
He just clearly define.
Yeah. Let me play the second clip because this points this out.
Okay.
That's what you do. You could be Pope because you're celibate.
That's true. And I'm also from Chicago, like the Pope. But look,
Right.
I mean, women, it says in the Bible that women have no authority over men and they can't teach men. And that's why there's no female priests.
It says a lot of
So I
things in
don't
the
think
Bible.
the Catholic-
I mean, do you take every
Okay.
word of the Bible as sacrosanct?
Well, yeah, it's inspired scripture.
That's all of
But
it.
I mean,
Is
is this now
all of it is
a
sacrosanct.
theological debate? Well, it is Catholic doctrine that women should not lead and teach. I mean, you're not interacting with what I'm saying. Why can't women be priests?
There should be.
Okay, well, you're not Catholic. That's not a Catholic position.
a Catholic. I just many things I disagree with the Catholic Church.
Okay.
Well, I won't play the whole clip, but that's enough right there because you see what he's doing, right? So he goes, "I am Catholic," because he uses it as a tool, as a weapon, something he can bring out and say, "Yes, I am," but he's clearly not. In fact, in that clip, he's just excommunicated himself from the Catholic Church by denying dogma of the church.
He's queers for Palestine.
Of the church. He's saying,
he's
"I want
women,
to choose."
women for Catholicism. That's
Right.
what he is.
Right, but that's not Catholic, and so now his role is he needs to repent of what he said, and he needs to formally reconcile with the church. I'm guessing that his priest and or his bishop probably don't even know him, but if they do, they're probably wet liberals and would let him get away with it. But if they were proper Catholics, they would say you are. By default, automatically excommunicated. If you want to receive communion again, if you want to come back into the church, you have to repent and reconcile, and that needs to happen. But the point is, he's saying, "Oh, you believe all the Bible is sacrosanct?" Like, yeah, this is the teaching of the church that the scriptures are God breathed and divinely inspired, and so yes, all of it is sacrosanct. And he went on in that clip to say, basically, it's called Nick an incel. To say, "Oh, you've never been laid. This is the problem." Like, no, Nick is living a chaste life. He's celibate because he's not married. That's a good way for a Catholic to live. It's the teaching of the church. And then he goes on to say that I want to see women priests. Like, undermines the church in three, bam, 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 just one after the other. And then he goes, "Oh, I am a Catholic." What about?
Well, he's like a transgender, isn't he? He's identifying as a Catholic. It's not that he is one. In any meaningful sense of the word,
Right.
He's identifying as one. But what I find astonishing is that anyone gives a shit what Piers Morgan says about anything. Now, that's all very well for me to say. Piers Morgan's media company is valued at 100 million quid. So, is it a reflection of the public that the public are sat on the fence, and we can't accept this idea that tolerance and principle will come into conflict with each other at some point. So you're going to have a situation whereby going, Queers for Palestine isn't ever going to work. In the same way as women bishops for Catholicism is not going to work.
Yeah.
So what you choose to do is you choose to identify in a certain way. And the reason why they go after Tommy Robinson or someone like that is because they go, he is representing muscular Christianity. I wouldn't call it Christian nationalism at all. I mean, I don't even know what that means. Nationalism is enough for me. It doesn't need to have the word Christian in front of me, but it inherently has the word Christian in front of it because our entire system is built around the Christian thing. So if you want to put Christian in front of it, go ahead. But Morgan he's like the Nigel Farage of the media. He's the intermediary between everyone waking up and saying what they want to say. And what Fuentes has done is he's gone ahead of it all and just gone, yeah, call me racist, yeah. And I bet I would bet solid money on the fact that he's got black friends. And,
oh yeah, he has. He's probably got more black friends than white friends, if anything, because he's in Chicago. But that's when he won the interview, when Piers Morgan says, "So you're racist?" And Nick Fuentes is like, "Yeah, I'm a racist." Because what can you do after that? Nothing.
Yeah.
It shows that all of his weapons are moot. All his points are moot. There's nothing he can do.
So should we now accept the moniker? Because I wasn't, because there was about the interview and it said, "Oh, you're offended when someone calls you racist." And I was like, I was offended when someone called me a racist back in 2020 because I thought that word has power and it means something. And I have and continue to fight this battle to go, I'm not a racist. But should I just give it all up and go, you know what, fine, you've got to call me a racist, I'll be a racist, because in your mind, I am. So I don't identify as anything, actually.
You're not seeking their validation because you know the things that make them happy are evil. So you don't want them to see you as good because to them, good is evil. It's inverted. You're not, whatever the words they use don't matter. This is the point.
Yeah. But if you're in my position, which is unemployable, so I would never be able to go to a film set and do what I love again because some, woke, overfed, goose-gulleted, foie gras feminist would go, I can't be on set with him. I need trigger warnings if he's going to say something.
Sure, but then why would you want to work in an industry that's that wicked anyway?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying we've got to have a place in society for all of us.
You can make a place. Mel Gibson's more right-wing than you are. He's making a sequel to the Passion of the Christ. You can work with Mel Gibson, you can work with Matthew Marsden. There are a number of people you can get together with. The whole industry is corrupt, but there's a small minority that isn't.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is down to a kind of you got to stop complaining and start doing thing, which I will do in the new year. But I feel very much that Piers Morgan, who has this huge platform, but also it's very sanctioned, his platform. So as much as people are like, oh, is terrible. He's seen as an enfant terrible. The guy couldn't be more grown up table if he tried.
Piers Morgan will only say something that was edgy 10 years ago, right? He's still speaking in 2015, but he thinks that makes him look good. It doesn't at all. It means that he can say things like about trans now that he wouldn't have said 2 years ago. He's very, very careful because he wants to be liked. He is the epitome of the wet boomer virtue signaler. That's all he is. And his virtue signaling doesn't work to people who recognize his virtues as vices. And his gotchas don't work to people who don't care about his words. And so he's pretty much just ended his career there.
And, it was exactly the same as the Ben Shapiro interview.
I would really like for you to explain to me what you would do about guns that would have prevented what happened in Sandy Hook. If you want to do what you did in the UK, right, which is ban virtually all guns, that is at least a fair argument. And we can have a discussion about whether that's something that we ought to do or not.
I've made it very clear what I want to do, which is exactly what Mark Kelly wants to do. And in fact, rather than address
let's talk about that.
Rather than address your comments to me about standing on the graves of children at Sandy Hook, you can address them to Mark Kelly because he agrees with everything that I've been saying because he feels the same way, as does his wife. They're gun owners. They both respect the Second Amendment of the Constitution. They don't want to take away anybody's right to defend themselves with guns.
They want to take away certain types of guns, obviously.
They want to take away assault weapons, which are capable with magazines like we saw at Aurora and Sandy Hook of unleashing a ridiculous amount of bullets.
Well, this is a question I wanted to ask you, Piers.
So there, you have the same interview conducted about mass shooters, 10 years ago, Piers Morgan had to leave America in shame after that interview. He's now being schooled by somebody else. But Britain still turns the TV on to watch this guy. And it makes me go. So my view on it is, I just go, well, I'm just going to say the truth. And I've noticed it with you.
Who's watching him? The boomers. The people like him are watching him. We've seen it. Yeah. I used to get the ratings for every single TV network, and I could see GB News, Sky News, BBC, etc., etc. And nobody's watching TV. The numbers are so many. If the public knew, if there was a viewer's number on TV, just as there is on online things, people would be like, oh, okay, wow. Nobody's watching television except for a handful of boomers, and that's it.
I know. And that was... Well, no, I think the point is it's very interesting that Piers Morgan has managed to make a wonderful, like people would say, your average punter, if you stop them in the street, they would say, Piers Morgan, oh yeah, he's like quite free speechy and edgy. And I'm like, no, he's the exact opposite. Like Zach Polanski is more free speech motivated than Piers Morgan is. So I just never understand why he has a career. And I suppose we're living in a time of flux and all that, and it's fine. And, there's plenty I could do to say, and you could do, and we could all do to actually put some of the truth out there. But I really enjoyed watching Nick Fuentes just dismantle him entirely from every single aspect of everything he said. And I'm going, if this guy is a racist that we are all meant to deplore.
But people the racism thing is the boy who cried wolf several times. Like, you keep crying wolf anymore. But the people who are genuinely free speech are the ones who are genuinely cancelled. Like, you are genuinely cancelled from the acting industry. Nick Fuentes is debanked. He can't run a business. Like, he was cancelled from all the events because Ben Shapiro didn't like him. And this is why Nick Fuentes is who he is. He is a reaction to his upcoming. He was very young as a commentator, and one of the reasons I speak out against having commentators who are too young, because they need time to form their opinions. But he was very young, and he got lambasted by the pro-Israel lobby, and so he's scarred by that, and that's what formed him. And this is why he's so reactionary. But a lot of my pastor friends were at Mar-a-Lago this week. Last week, they were all at the White House. I was not invited. You notice at the start of the year, I was invited to these events. Now I'm not invited to these very same events by the very same people, because I'll speak out against Israel. If you speak out against certain issues, if you are genuinely free speech, you'll be kicked away from the table. But you've got to be okay with that. You've got to have integrity and truth over career and ambition. And people like Piers Morgan, they may make $100 million or whatever, but it's nothing. That's dead. You can't take any of that with him.
Yeah, that is the absolute truth. And actually, it's brought me closer to my understanding of you, because I was like, why has Calvin gone off on this weird not anti-Semitic, but like, why has Calvin gone off on this like Jew-focused vibe? And then I'm like, well, because he cares about talking about everything.
And then because everyone says I'm not allowed to, it's like, well, why?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it brings me on to probably my final point. It should be my final point, which is the N-word. It's like, I'm done with this.
I think Nick Fuentes is a white-ass nigger going hard as F.
Yeah, and I'd have to call him because, that's what the rules say. But to genuinely appreciate the value of free speech, which exists, it's the freedom from which all other freedoms stem from, is to be able to say, you can't turn around to people and say you can say one, you can't say the other. So I would love to see, and I know it's years down the line, but I'd love to see people starting to either go, look, we either accept this word into common discourse, which it is, prevalent in all forms of black culture. From, we had this conversation about Paki. It's like they've got it on their own cricket shirt. It goes Paki power. But if you call a Pakistani a Paki, you are a racist. And it's like, you're literally rubbing your own oppression in my face.
Well,
and I'm done with it.
Right. The word I was called most often in school wasn't. It was Paki, because that's people who dislike you for your skin color aren't the most thinking people in the world, and they get things wrong because they're ignorant. Like, genuine racism is ignorant. But the word has become common parlance, and it's kind of like it doesn't mean anything anymore. With a hard R, at some point it may have been racially derogatory, but with a GA is just it's like saying brother or bro or whatever. And I think amongst the lower end of millennials and Generation Z, it is just, they do just say it now. It's not. But amongst the boomers, it's like, that is the worst word you could possibly say after the C word. That is, oh my goodness, the world's going to end. It's like, no, the world's not going to, no one cares.
Because we were all brought up on it. And I suppose what you're trying to dig into, and what Fuentes is trying to dig into in that interview, is to say, is it too soon to talk about the Holocaust? Are we allowed to talk about it? It's like, we should, if it's never too soon to talk about reparations for black people and how awful it's been for black people, then it's never too soon to talk about the Holocaust and what actually happened. Yeah. And to have a curious mind is to have a curious mind. And his description of Kanye West, who again, I don't really have a view on one way or the other, but he said,
I love Kanye West.
He described Kanye West as a geek, an artist, a softly spoken man. And he said those go against all of the stereotypes.
That he's an introvert, and you wouldn't think that.
But that goes against all the stereotypes of the version of what we're talking about. So and I've said it now, so I might as well say it again.
Oh, you're in trouble.
I don't care anymore. I really don't. It's like if you think
I want to say his album, Jesus is King, is one of the best albums in modernity, and it's been on my Spotify Wrapped for 5 years in a row. I love it, and I prefer to listen to Gregorian chant and classical music, but Kanye West's Jesus is King keeps coming back up, so that's how good that is.
But do you know a single one of our friends who would say that it was okay? A single one of our friends would go, shut up. Whatever.
Very few of our friends have genuine integrity. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking the reason Nick Fuentes has power is because he cares about what he's doing, and he has principles, and he stands by them. You and I have friends who, the moment that what they've said privately may be revealed, they panic and go on a meltdown and fall out with you and storm out. And it's like, if you can't stand by what you said, do you even believe it? You can't have an opinion that's private and an opinion that's public. You can't have an opinion that you'll say on air, but a different opinion that you'll say to your friend. That's fake. That's two-faced. That's speaking out both sides of your mouth. You should have the integrity to stand by what you believe.
I have this, because women, and it's the big difference between women and men, I have this chat with Lizzie a lot, which is she goes like, just be smart in the way you speak. And she's wise to say that. She's like, just be smart. Make sure that you get your point across properly, rather than impulsively in the way that I do. And I said, yeah, but even that is a surrender to the principle and fundamental of free speech, which belongs to us all and created all the greatest change in the world. So I don't really know. I mean, I suppose we'll leave it up to the audience to decide what they think. Do we have any questions? I've got to have a look. Did Harrison send any through?
But while you're doing that, one of the other points, I won't play the clip because we've shown enough clips, but one of the other things that came up was the difference between men and women. And Piers just could not understand. It's like, you believe men and women are equal under God, yet you don't think women should vote. How is that? You don't believe in women's rights then, therefore you don't believe in equality. It's like, no, you just don't understand Catholicism. You don't understand traditional Christian teaching. You don't understand our society up until 5 minutes ago, in that men and women are equal in terms of dignity and worth in the eyes of God, but they are not interchangeable. Women are not men, men are not women. Men have a certain role, women have a certain role. Women should not be leading men, women should not be voting. Right? And none of those things are contradictory. And if you think they're contradictory, then you don't understand. And that's the problem. What this came down to is they're speaking past each other, because Piers Morgan, from his lofty paradigm, cannot understand the paradigm of Nick Fuentes. And there's a massive disconnection. The whole of society is shifting from the one to the other, and it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is. I looked at the questions, and one of them is about you being a misogynist. And I'm like,
here's the thing. Okay. I love women. Christians love women. Christianity is the most women-friendly religion in the world. But it doesn't say that to love a woman must mean you have to see women as men. No, there's nothing greater in this world than motherhood. That's the greatest vocation. Beautiful. It's sacrificial, and yet men cannot perform it. Only women can.
I agree, and also
therefore we must protect women.
you're different because you've had a different calling because you've got that little collar of yours on. But I've had a life where I've known a lot of women in my life, and the only ones that are worth your time are the ones that understand that being a woman is an absolute, and it's the central part of who they are, and they can mix it up whichever way they want. But knowing that they are a woman is kind of crucial. Not going, I don't really know what I am, so I'm a feminist. It's the opposite of being a woman. Anyway, I love you.
Pray, brother. It's been a good chat.
Pray.
I will do, but shall we have a Fox and Father follows?
Oh yeah. Ennio Luco, Joey Barton.
You're such a troll. I'm going to give mine to Nick Fuentes.
Yes.
Twitter. It's just Nick J Fuentes, Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes. I'm going with that too, and Piers Morgan as well, so you can make your own mind up.
Today is the memorial of St. Juan Diego. This is an important memorial, regardless of what Laurence thinks about his low church evangelical Protestantism views. St. Juan Diego is the man who had a vision of Our Lady, of the Mother of God, and through that vision, she imprinted an image on his cloak, which even today, this was like 1530 something, but even today, like 500 years later, they cannot scientists cannot determine how it was imprinted on his cloak. But through this visitation and this miracle, millions of people were brought to the faith. And it was important because it was around the time of the Reformation where lots of people were leaving the faith. Well, St. Juan Diego, thanks to Our Lady, brought many millions of people back to the faith. And so today we remember him for that. O God, who by means of St. Juan Diego did show the love of the Most Holy Virgin Mary for thy people, grant through his intercession that by following the counsels of our mother gave at Guadalupe, we may be ever constant in fulfilling thy will through Jesus Christ, thy Son, our Lord, who liveth and reigneth with thee in the unity of the Holy Spirit, ever one God, world without end. Amen. And since it's Advent, we've got the Advent prayer as well, which we pray throughout the whole of Advent, and it's a very wonderful prayer. Almighty God, give us grace that we may cast away the works of darkness, and put upon us the armor of light, now in the time of this mortal life, in which thy Son, Jesus Christ, came to visit us in great humility, that in the last day, when he shall come again in his glorious majesty, to judge both the quick and the dead, we may rise to the life immortal, through the same Jesus Christ, thy Son, our Lord, who liveth and reigneth with thee in the unity of the Holy Spirit, ever one God, world without end. Amen.
Amen. I like the world without end thing, because it's like the Catholics are constantly saying the faith is alive, it keeps living, whereas the Protestant just calm down and shush and we'll all go to heaven if you're good. I like the Catholics. It's an ever-living faith. Anyway, I love you, bro.
You too. Take care. See you next week, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.